Hi, everybody. Welcome to Capital to the Coast BNI. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we bring you a local small business success story from one of our two regions in North Carolina, the Triangle region, which is Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. The coastal region is basically everything east of here, all the way to Wilmington and the chapters in the coast. If you're not familiar with BNI, it's Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Each week, there are 31 chapters in the Triangle, 10 chapters in the coastal region. We meet, and our goal is to help each other grow our business. And our local small business success story is a frequent guest on the show. And we'll tell you why in just a second. Wes Harper with LightWire Inc. Wes is part of the morning show, which meets Wednesday mornings at 8 a.m. at the Fellowship Hall at Trinity Church on Six Forks Road. Wes, how are you today?
Oh, I couldn't be better. Doing great. Always fun to meet up with you and share stories.
Oh, good. Glad to
Yeah.
have you. So, folks, if you've been following the show, you know Wes not only is let's just add to the list, let's see, successful husband, successful father, successful business owner, and a naked and afraid all star, legend, guru, Hall of Famer, all that good stuff. So,
Right,
Wes
right.
has been on six of the Naked and Afraid shows, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. So, hang on, we'll talk a little bit of business first because they do overlap each other.
They do.
So, 1996, Wes, and I'm glad you corrected me before we came on the air. I'm like, oh, that is almost 30 years, yeah. You started LightWire.
Mhm.
The goal was to do what?
I've always wanted to work for myself. I was always brought up being told you need to work for yourself. Corporate life, corporate is not for you. You need to go out and do this on your own. And so I started it really very naive about how to run a business. Um, but it seemed like a good idea at the time, and I was very technical, so it came very easy to me. But the business part of it did not.
So, what things had to happen for day one? But more importantly, when did the conversations and the thoughts start to make sure there is a day one?
I don't think there was any question about it, really. I think I was just picking, yeah, and an area, a business that I could run, a business that would keep my interest. I mean, I had owned a landscaping company and I had done every odd job you could ever imagine. And so I was just feeling out what I wanted to do, knowing that it would probably be the only career I would have and, long term, hopefully. And so I settled in on IT. Uh, I've always had a fascination for how things work. I'm an engineer at heart. And so just kind of one day said, this is what we're going to do, and started, honestly.
Did that IT gene come from somebody else in your bloodline?
Uh, I don't think so. I'm I'm not sure where it came from, to be honest. And if you look back, we're almost at 30 years ago. There wasn't a whole lot of IT
Mm,
prior to 30 years ago. Unless it was government.
mm. It-
Most people didn't even own a computer or were just
mm,
starting to own a PC back when I started the company. And so it's been an evolution for sure. Because at the beginning, my company sold phone systems.
mm.
Didn't even mess with computers, and so that's how we started. And as time goes along, you have to evolve and navigate those waters to see what's going to be around in 5 years and what's not. And you just gotta you make a plan and you change your plan and you make another plan, you change that plan as time goes along.
As you were growing up, were you tinkering with different toys and get
Oh
into some electronics just to understand how they work?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I was very good at taking things apart and not very good at putting them back together. I ruined a lot of things, learning how they worked, but it fascinated me. I absolutely loved it. I was uh, not a mechanic, but I could do just about anything on a car by just doing it. Messing it up 3 times and then learn how to do it correctly and then fixing it. Always been a tinkerer.
So, current day owner Wes, would
Mhm.
tell day one owner Wes what now that you know that with regard to growing the business?
Well, part of me wants to say, "Go work for a corporation." You know, a guaranteed paycheck. Uh, but no, I would say, Wes, you have to get your act together a little quicker.
Mm,
You need to actually take a business class. You have to have a mentor. You have to have somebody show you, how to run a bit no matter what kind of business it is. You have to have somebody show you how to run a business, or you have to know from schooling, you just stepping into it. I see a lot of young people go, "Oh, I'm going to start a business," and it's just like I did, because I'm good at something. Well, just because you're good at
mm.
something doesn't mean you know how to run a business. It just means you're good at it. Whether it's landscaping, painting, electricity, it doesn't matter. You have to know how to run a business, and that's one thing I'm very grateful for BNI for. Even after 29 years now, I still hear things from other business owners,
Mm.
and a light goes off, and I go, "Why didn't I do this 29 years ago?" And I steer myself in just a slightly different direction, maybe adopting what someone else is doing that's having real success with.
And I think you'll find that's a common denominator with most successful people is they're willing to learn and listen.
I would agree. You've got to have a lot of humility.
Mm.
You've got to be really strong-headed, self-righteous, and then a little humility to know this isn't working. Somebody's doing it better than I am. Maybe my idea wasn't so great. Maybe I need to adopt this other philosophy or this other strategy for my business.
On day one, there were how many employees involved in the company?
Oh, you're looking at him. It was me, owner, operator, engineer. Yeah, I was doing everything at the time, and that went on for quite a while. That went on for 4 years. It
Oh,
was just Wes.
so you sold and installed?
I did,
Okay. All
did
right.
sold, installed, maintained, and then I started doing a little cabling, run some Cat 5 cabling for people, and that got me kind of introduced into the networking and computer world, because somebody's computer wouldn't hook up to the internet with the cable I just ran, and I'd say, "Well, let me take a look," and I would figure out what was wrong or how to get it right or the right person to call to make it work. So that was kind of an introduction into networking for me.
And the first big growth in the company was when and what?
I took on a business partner in 2000. He was a computer guy, and he had a list of clients that he had. I had a list of clients I had, and we theorized that we could cross them over and basically double our business pretty much instantly by being able to do that. So that it was very successful. It was the right move at the right time. I think we hired our first employee maybe a month later when we had enough business to push forward down that scary road of hiring your first employee.
So at what point in time did you know that, okay, this was the right move? I think this has some legs.
Uh, 2024, is
No,
that an
no.
acceptable answer? No, no. In reality, in 2000,
Okay.
that was when I said, "Yeah, this is going to stick." We're doing maybe not all the right things, but we're doing enough of the right things that this is actually going to work, and it's going to be a viable business, and it's going to be a long-term proposition.
And partnership, especially when money's involved, can be in a dicey situation at times. What made it why were you 2 such good partners?
I think because we were both hard workers. We were both engineer minded.
Mm.
He was a computer guy that didn't know how to run a business. I was a telephone guy that didn't know how to run a business. But we knew that between us, we could kind of figure it out. And we're not idiots. We learned what we didn't know, and we were aware that we didn't know a lot. And so we weren't afraid to
Okay.
investigate, to research, to talk to people, and figure out, how to make a more successful business.
So 1996 was when you opened the doors. If somebody told you on July 21st, 2025, your company would be in this situation,
Mhm.
would you be surprised?
There might be a little ego here, but no, I
Okay.
would. I was I was very determined. I was 26 at the time, and so pretty young,
Mhm.
but I was very determined, and I've always believed in myself, maybe to a fault, but I've always believed that I can do it, no matter the circumstance. I can do it,
Mm.
and so no, I don't think I would have been surprised that
Okay.
it's gone to this point.
I like that. All right, so you obviously have a very good team because when you go onto your TV show, Naked and Afraid, you are gone for how many weeks or months?
It could be as little as a month, and it could be as much as 2.5 months. I mean, so really long periods of time. Some of the smaller challenges I've done have been 14-day challenges, but you got to get there a week early for logistics.
Mm.
And then when it wraps up, you're there for another half a week for more logistics. And so, yeah, the minimum is really a month.
So, what kind of meetings and prep do you and your team do, knowing you are going out of town pretty much for this length of time?
The first one was the most difficult. The first one because we just, there's a lot of trust involved. I go away for a month and I
Mm.
come back and it's what, how's my business? You know, but we did a lot of meetings. We talked about a lot of policies, procedures, and said if we stick to the script,
Mm.
everything will be fine. And we were established enough that, okay, if I lost a customer, that would be terrible and heartbreaking, but it wasn't going to bankrupt the
Mm.
company. It wasn't gonna mean that didn't have a business anymore. It just meant that there would be some setbacks. But we prepped enough that that didn't happen on the first one, and it hasn't happened on any challenge since then. My staff is crack. They're so good. At this point, as the owner, I'm monitoring the situation and I'm charting the path of where we're going. But day to day operations, that is not something I'm involved in minute to minute anymore.
And you truly cannot contact anybody, not even like, hey, we're going to take a 10-minute break, make one phone call to whoever you want to, right?
No, not at all. When you're out on these challenges, your phone stays in a bag
Yeah.
with production, and you don't even get information about what's going on in the world. Uh, Nothing. You just know nothing.
Yeah. Well, and I go back to I forget which show it was during COVID where they came and got you out of a tent, and that's probably the only uh, update on anything going on in the world you've ever heard on one of these shows, right?
I had no idea that there was a pandemic going on. None whatsoever until they yanked me out of my shelter and said, "We've got to leave now because they're closing Ecuador,
Yeah.
like the country."
Yeah.
And so they hauled me out of there, and I hadn't have a clue what was going on.
I think they
Yeah,
hauled you out before Ecuador closed down and the U.S. closed down, right?
right a minute before. Yeah, it was a very close call.
So when you're out in the wilderness for any of these, he's been on 6 shows. So any of these shows you've been on, do you even have time to sit and think for a minute, wonder how the business is going, how the family's doing, how my favorite sports teams are doing, anything like that?
You have a lot of time. You have a
Okay.
surprising amount of time. Because if it starts to get dark at 6 o'clock and you're in South Africa where it's very dangerous to be out in the dark, you're locked into your little boma, your shelter, and you don't leave till the next morning. And that's a long time. Laying down at 6 o'clock in the evening
Mm.
and staring up at the stars, you have hours to think.
Oh, man.
Hours. What's cool is I've made some very major business decisions while I've actually been on the show. I've made major life and business
Oh,
decisions because I had so much time to think about it.
did you have anything to write it down on?
No,
Okay. So good memory
no.
then, right?
Well, yeah, yeah. If you repeat it in your head enough times,
All right. So Wes is on the newest show of Apocalypse.
yeah,
And this one will air Sunday night. What are we on the 21st,
yeah.
20th,
So it's
on
a 20,
27th
right?
at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Discovery Channel. All right. So
Correct.
this one took you, if I got the notes right, took you to South Africa. there were
Hmm.
4 teams of 3, as the show says, dropped off in the 4 corners of South Africa,
Yeah.
right? So, when you on all these shows, do you ever meet the other people on the show?
Yeah, on the larger ones,
Okay.
like this one, and I've done a couple of the larger ones that have multiple people. You have to stay in the same survivor village before the show starts. A lot of times, they try to keep you separated as much as possible, and try not to let you know who's going, and make it a surprise not only to the audience
Yep.
but to you. But I've been in the system a long time, and so honestly, there's a lot of back channels
Yep.
that we kind of know.
Okay.
We have a very good idea of who's going. We're a little right, a little wrong, but
Yeah.
generally.
All right, folks, and since the show has not aired yet, I will be asking Wes a lot of questions, and some of them he can't answer because it's non-disclosure he signed. Just want to let everybody know that is fine. So you were with 2 other people. Can you give
Yes.
names, and you can tell us if you've ever met them before on any of the shows?
Sure. I think that's fine because they showed it in the previews. I'm with a girl named Miranda and a guy from the UK named Steve,
Okay.
short for Steve. Very awesome people.
Okay.
Uh, just great, hardworking. I got really fortunate because I was with people that you actually like,
Ah,
you know. So that was good.
because
Now they hadn't done any challenges. They've only done one challenge each, and so I came on as the mentor, the legend, who's kind of setting the tone, coaching them through, you know, doing a major challenge, and so that was my role on this one.
can you tell us what? Because you're allowed to bring one thing, right?
Mhm.
Can you tell us what you brought?
I think on this one it was a little different. We
Okay.
were provided some items.
Oh,
And, it's very standard for you to get
yeah.
the core essentials, a fire starter, a pot for water, and, some kinda knife.
Yeah.
That's a very standard setup. You are not gonna live in South Africa if you don't have those 3 basic
Gotcha.
things. You're not gonna make it.
So when did conversations come up for you to do a 6th show, Wes?
Oh, wow. It was the beginning of last year, maybe February, March of last year.
Okay.
Uh, I got a, uh, I got a text really from one of the executive producers, and he said, "Hey, you ready to go back to Africa?" And I said, "Yep."
Yep.
And he goes, "Okay, we'll be in touch." And then it took really 6 months,
Oh.
6 months of there's a lot of logistics involved. You've got to have a place, you've got to have the production,
Mhm.
camera crews, audio people, and it takes a lot of people. Like we probably had 100 people in production for this show,
Wow.
and that may be light. So the coordination of all those things is a massive undertaking. All I have to do is show up,
Yep.
you know. But somebody has to make sure I get there.
Yep.
I got a hotel room. I'm staying in Survivor Village. I got something to eat. And I got power.
Can
All
I
that
yep.
stuff before it starts.
Can I assume you have a bunch of frequent flyer miles?
Oh no, I don't get to keep those.
Oh, no. All right.
No,
Okay.
no.
All right.
Mm.
So what's different about this show than the other ones you have done?
This one is a lot different because we are walking into a place that has kind of time is forgot. It had people, small civilizations, but they died out. They died or got eaten or disease, whatever, but they weren't there anymore. They abandoned this area, and to boot, it had burned to the ground. There was fire, and it just burned everything in this entire region where we were staying. So resources were at an absolute minimum. When you open your eyes and you see what you're walking into, you really go, "What the hell did I do? This is something I've never seen before." And then in addition to that, we had to find our way out. We didn't get a helicopter flown in to pick us up and pat us on the back and saying, "You did it." None of that. Whoever. whoever made it, they had to walk out of there.
Wow.
So, I can't tell you if I made it or not. It's
Yep.
like you have to tune in and watch.
Please do. Yep.
But the people who made it, they uh, they had to fight their way out of South Africa.
Yeah. Um, would you have any interest in being the executive producer of a series where you get to kind of create where they go, all that stuff? Would you want to be on that end of the show?
Yeah, I think that would be fantastic, and it's kind of funny you brought that up. I have been asked to be part of a survival group called Survival Mastery, and they have brought me on to be a board member and a trainer. And I'm very involved with soliciting trainers, getting them on board, and putting in locations where they can do an actual training survival course or certification course. And so I'm in charge of quite a bit of the logistics for that. So
Wow.
it's neat. It's
Yeah.
very cool that it's come from my time of being naked on TV trying to survive. But I think it's also because I'm also a businessman,
You had
and
mentioned that on previous
yeah,
shows that you were one of the few, if the only business person on the show.
yeah. I think as far as business owner,
Yeah.
and white collar business guy who goes to meetings
Mm.
and has to give talks and things. I don't know of another one. I really don't, and so that does separate me out. I'm not a survivalist by nature. I don't live in a tent,
Mm.
you know, or a camper or something like that. I mean, I live in a nice house and I run a business, so it's kind of an anomaly for the show to have somebody like me.
Okay. So if I got my notes right from previous shows, you and Molly, your wife, watched the first episode roughly June 2013, and then 2017 is kind of when she got the computer out, challenged you to apply to be on the show.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We had talked about it. We had
That's
watched every episode, and I was
that's
very
fun.
passionate and yelling at the TV and, saying, "No, that's wrong, dummy." And, I guess it just got to a fever pitch. And we had talked about, like, "Wes, do you think you could do that?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, I could. No problem. I got this." And so one day, yeah, after sitting there watching the show and having a couple of adult beverages, she got her laptop and just started typing. Found out the production company, and the company takes the applications and all this stuff, and she started signing me up. And we laughed. We thought it was a
Yep.
hoot. We never thought anything would come of it. Nothing. And then the next day, I had kind of forgot about it, and my phone rang, and it said it was from Los Angeles, and I had that oh my gosh moment, holy smokes, this is them, and sure enough, it was, and a year long interview process and paperwork
Yep.
and vaccinations, but then a year later, I was sitting in Brazil trying to survive. It's
I love
amazing.
that
It really
story.
is.
And also, if I remember right, I think I asked you what's the first thing you did, and I believe one of the first things you did, you told me, was you started walking around your neighborhood barefooted because you knew your feet were going to be crucial to you surviving.
100%. More than any other preparation that I do for a challenge is I take my shoes, I put them in the closet.
Mm.
It's funny with BNI. I mean, I really don't wear shoes when I know I'm going on a challenge at all, ever, unless I'm in the grocery store or at a BNI meeting. And I keep them in the truck just in case I have to put them on. It's ridiculous. And yeah, so when you finish a challenge, and you get your shoes back and you put them on, oh, it's the most uncomfortable thing you've ever done. It's terrible because your feet are all deformed from walking
Yeah.
around like dog pads, it's terrible.
Do you still get recognized for being on the show when you're walking about town or traveling?
A lot more these days. Yeah, a lot more. And I'm not shy. I'm a supporter of the show. I'm an advocate for it because I think it's a reality show that's not like other reality
Yeah.
shows. And so, I'll wear a Nick and Freight t-shirt, when I go to the hardware store or, out to even a little tavern or something. And inevitably somebody has watched the show and they go, "Hey, is your name Wes?"
Mhm.
And I smile. I go, "Well, yeah, it is." And I know why they're asking,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden it turns into something. But yeah, not daily, but
Yeah.
weekly, I get a couple people who spot me. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
And what do they ask you, or did they recite one of your lines or an episode back to you?
Yeah, a lot of times, and the COVID episode was huge for me. That really put me on the map. And they'll talk about that. And, the first thing everybody says is, "Oh, I couldn't take the bugs."
Yeah.
And so, and they're right, it's awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get the same 5
Mhm.
questions most of the time. Is it real? Do they give you a toothbrush? Do you have toilet paper? Those kinds of questions,
Mhm.
And, the answer is always the same, "No, you don't." And then they're even more amazed
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and want to talk to you about it.
You can tell us all the things you don't have and for how long you didn't have it, and we still could not conceive of what that time frame would be like without those.
But, buddy, I tell you, when I watch the show, which I still do, when I see somebody else surviving, I can't believe that they actually make it. I still, even though I have done 6 challenges, have probably been on 60 different episodes, lived it, I can't watch it and fathom how they make it still to this
Mm.
day.
Alright, so you are just a tick older in this series than your original series. So how did your body do on this particular show?
Um, well, sleeping on the ground is never fun. That gets worse. It gets a lot worse. But, I prepare for these shows. I try to get myself as fit as possible, even though I put on a little extra weight, to have a little fat reserves. I try to get really fit. I'll either run or do my long barefoot walks. Try to eat a little better,
Mm.
have a few less beers, just get my health to the best possible place I can. So I haven't really noticed too much difference in the last 8 years. Um, it's, but I can tell I'm a little slower getting off the ground. When I bend over, I can't barely bend over without grunting a little, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's no, Aleve or Icy Hot patches they can provide you, is there?
No, no, there's not. No, you just suffer and then you suffer a little more.
Now, do you research things on where you're going that could help with health-related issues like a pulled muscle, a headache, or anything like that?
No, not, I mean, to a degree, but it's actually very limited the amount of information that's out there
Mm,
that is pertinent to the area you're going to be.
mm,
And you honestly don't know the exact area you're going to be. For instance, when I was in Ecuador, you think Ecuador, wow, equator, it's going to be really hot
mm,
and sweaty and this type of thing. But then when it's time for you to get dropped off, they drive you 2 hours to 10,000 foot elevation and drop you in a cloud forest where it's raining 9 inches a day and gets down to 50 degrees at night. So you're never really prepared for what you're going to walk into. And that is absolutely by design. They don't want you to be
mm.
prepared and they don't want you to have an easy go of it. They want to show you surviving and showcase your survival skills.
I would imagine your tinkering skills, be it a car or surviving in South Africa or, Ecuador, Brazil, those skills probably come in handy when you're figuring out, "All right, we gotta walk 8 miles, and this is hurting or this is going on. Okay, let me put this together."
Absolutely. Absolutely. My tinkering, my engineering, I can build a shelter like nobody's business. And that's huge, especially like in Ecuador when it really rained 9 inches a day. I had a waterproof shelter, and I was high and dry as long as I was in there. And when it's 50 degrees at night, you better be dry. So yeah, so those kind of things, and making traps and snares, it all kind of plays into it, and being able to construct a decent fire
Mm,
and keep it lit for
yeah.
21 days or longer.
Did you have to eat any new food on this show than you didn't eat on previous shows?
Yes, I did.
Okay, we will find out about that later, more later. So,
Yeah, yeah, I think it's gonna be one of those shows that you don't wanna eat dinner while you're watching.
fair enough.
Yeah.
One of these stories, and I think it was the Ecuador challenge, the lady you were with, you guys came up on a beehive, and she was so hungry and willing to put her hand in there to get the honey out. And I asked you if you did the same thing, and you said, you looked at me deadpan and said, I wasn't that hungry yet. So,
No, yeah, and that was, the first one in, Brazil
oh,
with Jeff.
Brazil. Okay.
Yeah, and, yeah, I mean, we were 18 days in or so when that took place, and, I said I was a landscaper before. I've been stung plenty of times,
Mm.
and I'm not real interested on getting stung any more than I have to, and so I was like, "I can go a few more days
Yeah.
without eating. It'll be okay. I'm not messing with a huge
Yeah.
4-foot high bee's nest."
And I believe she shared some of the honey with you.
Oh, she absolutely did. She
Yeah.
was a
Yep.
trooper, a really good partner. And that's what we did.
Yep.
I went foraging every day and I found resources every day and I would share with her. And so when it came back around, she was more than gracious and shared the honey with me.
So this show, you're with two people, two others now. Did that change the dynamics in surviving?
Oh yeah, quite a bit. Quite a bit. And that was my group. And I was mentoring them along. But now you have an extra person. In Ecuador, I was by myself for 14 days, and I had to do everything. You have to make the fire, you have to get the wood, you have to boil your water, get more wood, make a shelter. And here we could split up the tasks, and so that was really really helpful. You wouldn't believe how much time it takes, how much of your day is spent gathering firewood and boiling water. It's an
Oh,
inordinate amount of time, and it doesn't make good TV because it's boring. There's no drama to you. 75% of your time is getting firewood. But yeah, just splitting up those tasks helped a lot. It brought in time for other things.
and did they give you, prior to the actual start of the survival process, do you three get time together to start formulating plans and talk about what y'all are good at?
No,
Okay.
no, they keep you very separate on that. They don't want you to do that. They want to capture that on film and see you work either together or not work together in a lot of cases. And so no, they want to capture all of that on camera.
And this was different. Not only did you have to get back to civilization, but just the wear and tear on the body and the mind. Was it something you have been through before?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, each challenge comes with its own challenges, but the isolation and that always plays on you. It always plays on you. A lot of downtime. You live inside your head for hours and hours and hours a day. If you've ever had a song caught in your head, you can't
Yes.
quite get it out of your head. That's what it's like the entire time. Yeah, it's a mentally crushing thing to do. You have to have a lot of mental fortitude and be able to shake things off. And I think that's having kids, that's running your own business. I think it's all very relatable.
And speaking of kids, one of your sons was in one of the shows.
Yeah.
How did he like it? I don't think I've talked to you since then. How did he like it, and will he want to go back for another one?
It's my son Waylon. I think he was 20 when he did it, and he absolutely hated it every minute of it. Yeah, it was not for him, and he's an outdoor camping guy. I've taken him hunting and fishing since he was 2 years old. He loves all that, but the whole being on camera, suffering, getting bit by bugs, stomach distress, all that, he did not find that enjoyable at all. And during the time, I don't really find it enjoyable either. But 6 months later, I look back and I go, "Oh, that was great. That was the best." It's been a couple years for him, and he says that was still the worst, and there's no way in the world he would ever do another one. And we've been approached,
Okay.
a father son.
Yep.
some kind of dynamic
Yeah,
there. And he's like, no, Dad,
yeah.
that's not happening.
Can I assume then that it doesn't take long for first timers to decide this was a great decision or this was the worst decision I'll ever make?
Oh yeah, yeah. Generally in the first 5 minutes. First 5 minutes, I mean, you are naked, and where you go, there's nothing that's kind out there. There are
Mm,
thorny bushes. Everything wants to bite you, sting you. You brush against something, you're bleeding. You step on some sharp rock or a thorn. So in the first 5 minutes, I mean, you've drawn blood already. There's not
wow.
a single person that hadn't drawn blood in 5 minutes. And right about then, and then a deer flies buzzing around your head trying to bite you. And you go, "Dang, did I really sign up for this? Is it gonna be like this the whole time?" You question life's decisions.
How many different shots do you have to get before you go on one of these?
Oh, so many, so many. I mean, cholera, typhoid, yellow fever, to name a few. I
Mm.
probably, over the years, probably had 20 different shots.
So we could,
I can't even catch a cold now.
yeah. I was
I'm
gonna,
so I'm so chemicaled out, I can't even catch a cold.
and I guess we can assume all your shots are up to date, right?
Every single one of them.
So I never got to talk to you about the Montana Frozen Challenge.
Sure.
So now you go from extreme heat to extreme cold. What prep did you have for that, and how did you stay warm there?
Oh, that was really an awful one, Mike. Yeah, a lot of prep was making yourself cold, getting your skin a little thicker, um, learning to tolerate the cold, I guess. Learning that just because your skin's cold doesn't mean your body's cold.
Mm.
It's just your skin's cold. That's fine. Everything else is okay. So you have to play some mental games there. But it was cold. I mean, it was March in basically Yellowstone. That was really, really tough. You couldn't go outside your shelter for more than a half hour at a time, maybe, or you'd freeze to death. You had to get back in and around that fire. So yeah, I'm not sure it made for a great TV watch because there was so much in the shelter time. One could consider it boring, but it was a survival nightmare.
How do you prep for getting that cold if you don't live in a cold weather area?
Well, it was March when we did the filming, and so, North Carolina, I had January and February,
Hmm.
which is so, I live on Lake Gaston, and so I would dip in the water, in January and come out and do it again, and I'd stay outside in a pair of shorts, just hang out as long as I could take it. That kind of thing, walk in the snow barefoot. Just trying to get your body to say, "Okay, this is what cold feels like. I can hack it. As long as I get periods of warmth, I'll be okay."
And you feel like that prep helped as much as it
Yeah,
could?
yeah, it really did. Taking cold showers,
Mm,
that helps a lot. But just being familiar with the cold.
yeah.
Maybe that's simplifying it, but just being familiar with being cold and being okay with it.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point, and hadn't thought about it this way, that just because your skin is cold doesn't mean your body's cold, and then once you get to the point of, "Okay, my body's cold," then you can start processing the information.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right.
So your loving wife, Molly, who's been through all of this with you, what is her life like and the other kids and all your kids, excuse me, not just your son who was on it, but when you're gone and there's nothing on TV because you're just taping right now, how do they process all this and what do they learn? Do they hear from anybody that, oh, yeah, Wes is okay. It's week 2. He's okay. Do they get anything like that?
No, they really don't. The Ecuador one, Molly did get one phone call, and that was when they pulled me out for the country closing, and they called her just to check on her to make sure her and the kids were doing okay, so they could relay that to me,
Uh,
so I didn't freak out. But other than that, no, they don't get any notifications whatsoever. Molly has said many times that she doesn't want to hear from him because if she hears from him, that means something very bad has happened.
yeah.
And so every day that goes by that she doesn't hear from him, then that's a good day. But yeah, they miss me. They're scared for me.
Mm.
They're very worried. I go to very dangerous places, and so they're worried every day. But they also know that I'm pretty damn good at it. I am now a survivalist, and I've been in these areas, and I can handle myself, and so they're comforted in that fact. But you can't help but worry. And then they have to pick up all my tasks. I can't mow the
Yeah.
grass. I don't take out the trash. All the things that now all of a sudden Molly's got to do everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I think she probably gets tired of her friends and family asking, "Hey, have you heard anything? Have you heard anything?"
Oh, yeah, drives her nuts. Drives her nuts because, we have a network of people,
Yeah.
and we live in a pretty tight neighborhood, so when they see me walking barefoot, for a couple months in a row, they know I'm going somewhere.
Okay.
It's been long enough that they know that I'm going somewhere, and then all of a sudden, I just don't show up to happy hour.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, I'm not mowing the grass, she's mowing the grass, and they know that I'm gone, and so that's when everybody all of a sudden chips in. People invite her over, bring her food, but it's always a
Okay.
constant reminder to her that I'm
Mhm.
gone. She doesn't get the benefit of forgetting for a few days that I'm out
Mhm.
there. She's constantly reminded of it, so I know that's very tough.
And when you get a text or a call from an executive producer, obviously the first clearance you need is from Molly, but she knows your passion for this. And to use your phrase, you're pretty good at it, that things are probably going to turn out okay and you're going to have a lot of fun. So go for it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, each one has its own, like, family challenges. Like, does she want me to go on another challenge? No,
Yeah.
absolutely not, and I can't blame her for that.
Yep.
That's smart. But does she know it's my passion? Yes. And so, there's a lot of discussions around it. But yeah, when I get that text, I immediately, if it's something I want to do, which it usually is, I walk right to Molly and I say, "Hey, I just got this text. This is the deal. Let's talk about it." And then over the next course of the next week or so, we hash out details, and we come to the same decision every time. Okay, you can go. Um, basically, I'll be here when you get back.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. I don't want you to go, but I understand you got to go. I'll be here. And then, so me and my selfish ways, I take off to go on this massive adventure for
Yep.
a month or 2 months.
Is there a continent you have not tried to survive on yet that you would like to try to survive on?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd love to go to Asia. I think that would be really cool. Australia would be fantastic. Everything comes with its own challenges,
Mm.
different levels of danger, but I have not been to those places. And so there's always a spark of maybe they'll send me here. Maybe I can get to go here. And we'll see. Like you said, I'm getting a little long in the tooth for doing challenges. I'm not a young guy anymore. I wasn't a young guy when I started. So it's only got progressively worse. And so we're talking a lot about that, whether I should they call,
Yeah.
whether I should do any more or just pursue these other things, like I said, with the survival mastery, offshoots of
Mm.
survival instead of taking off my clothes and laying on the ground for
Mm.
X number of days.
So how hard is it to find substitutes for your BNI meetings while you're gone?
I take medical leave
Okay. All right.
because we talked about it a lot, and people said that I must be crazy for going. So a mental medical leave seemed perfectly acceptable.
I do like that. I do like that a lot. All right. So from a business standpoint, we talked about what your team at work needs to be on top of.
Mhm.
Um, so if you're let's go back to business advice
Sure.
for startups. They
Mhm.
have an idea. They're pretty good at like you, they were good at their craft. What do
Mhm.
they need to start putting into place for the business side of it to marry the two together?
Right. I think really start off with a business plan, just a straight up detailed business plan, have it on paper, make sure, that the math works. I was given some, I don't know, a little mentoring to somebody maybe a month ago. He was considering going out on his own. And
Mm,
I said, well, what do you have written down? And he said, well, nothing. And I said, well, get a pen and a piece of paper. You need to know how much you need to, he has a family. I said, you need to know how much income you need to generate.
mm.
And then you need to know how much work you've got to get to generate that income minus your expenses. I said, and then form your plan around that. Because if you don't have basic math done, then it's a recipe for disaster. So I think that's first and foremost is really write down what it is you're gonna do and what you need and what you're trying to accomplish.
I would imagine, well, a lot of businesses go under just because they're not funded correctly. Because,
Mm,
like you said, if especially if you're starting a business where you are, well, every business owner is 100% commission because you
mhm.
just need to make the money. And did you have that in place? Did you know how long you could live off of whatever you had made prior to that if things didn't get going quickly?
Yeah, I think the answer was about 6 weeks.
Okay. Hey, but you knew that?
Yeah, like I said, I was young and pretty naive when I jumped into it, but that also, I had my back against the wall, and so the only way you can go is forward.
Yeah.
I didn't have a parachute. It was, "You have to do this, so do whatever it takes to get it done." And so, yeah, that's how I started, and that's how I did. Having a backup plan sometimes doesn't help you a whole lot,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
It
and you had some form of a business plan written down?
Yeah, mostly on basically a napkin.
Yeah.
It it wasn't that great. Mostly an idea and a few notes,
Mhm.
and then I went for it. And a conversation with my 26-year-old self, I would have definitely changed that starting strategy. So I was one of the lucky ones, but like I said, my back was against the wall. I only had one way to go. I had a wife and a small
Mhm.
baby.
Yep.
And
Oh, yeah.
I did things like I worked at UPS at nights,
Mhm.
loading trucks when the money wasn't coming in
Yep.
just to make it. And there's nothing that'll make you want your business to succeed more than loading trucks at UPS in the middle of summer at night.
So
Um,
not only is that not much fun or certainly where you don't wanna be, but you're missing time with your wife and small child.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely.
Alright, so we've been putting Wes's phone number on the screen here. So if your company needs, technology solutions through remote monitoring, they need network management, or they need IT solutions and cabling, Wes is your guy. He's done it. You're doing something right if you stay in business for 29 years on your own revenue. On your own
Yeah.
revenue. That's important. Your spouse can be loaded, but I want to know you made it to 29 years on your own revenue. Uh,
Yeah.
all right. And you can also catch him on Naked and Afraid Apocalypse. That is this Sunday night, the 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Discovery Channel. Other than you being in the show and it being in Africa, any
Mm.
other little good fun tidbit as we watch the show we can look out for that you could share with us?
Well, other than not eating dinner while you're watching, it's a real adventure. I think this one, I mean, if you talk to people who go on safaris and see adventure up close, you're gonna see adventure up close. You're gonna see like people working together, good teamwork, people having each other's backs. It's a very supporting show, and I think it's going to be one of the best shows that they've come up with so far. The cast of people in it, although I'm with two people, there's three other groups.
Mm.
So there's 12 total people, and they're tight. They're good people, and so it's a far cry from some reality show where you got people and they're just there to fight and cuss at each other and do all that nonsense.
Mm.
This one is about people working together, a common goal to survive and get out of the apocalypse. And I think it's going to come off really well.
Well, good. And one more question. I think I asked you this after each of the other two shows. The plane ride back, depending on what situation your body's in, can be uncomfortable, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. Your body's never in good shape. And you can't wait for the snacks and the meals to come around because you've been starving to death for X number of days. So yeah, it's rough, but you also see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm.
you know that you're only hours away from being home, and that drives you. It's such a good feeling to know you're about to see your family again.
Do you get a hero's welcome at the airport from your family and friends?
Molly and I have a pattern. She's the one that picks me up,
Okay.
and she always brings me some flowers.
Oh,
Yeah, it's really nice. And then we go straight from wherever she picks me up. We go to a little restaurant or tavern or bar or something like that, and we have a beer. And
nice.
that's what we do every single time without fail. And that's just kind of our thing,
Good.
And then I make it a point not to talk too much. I let her tell me about
Yes.
she's been doing.
Yes, exactly. And real quick, one more thing. How much weight did you lose on this one?
Can't tell you because
Oh,
you don't know
good.
how long I made it.
Oh,
Yeah.
fair. Okay. I like it. All right, folks. So Sunday night, July 27th, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Discovery Channel. You'll get to see the legend, not only BNI legend, but a Naked and Afraid legend. Wes Harper, we've been putting his number on the screen. If your company needs help, you need to call them. You're pretty good at something you've been doing 29 years. So, Wes, always love having you on the show and catching up on this. The life you lead, the double life you lead is fascinating for us to watch.
Well, thanks, Mike. I enjoy being here too.
And we,
I always get to share my stories.
yep, and we love them. So hopefully we'll hear some more. So,
Got it.
folks, please join us next time on Capital to the Coast BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.